Damn fuel selector. Son of a bitch. What's going on, guys? Today I'm going to be doing a quick mod on my F350 on the fuel tanks. This is the third truck that I had the fuel selector valve go out. And the problem that you're going to run into if you have a OBS, or I'm pretty sure they use the fuel selector valve in many years, but they do not make an aftermarket one. I have checked everywhere. I have checked parts stores. I have checked online. They have the original equipment, which runs between, the cheapest I seen online was $280 and the highest was $360 for the actual block. So what I had to do in the past is, what I done is I ran my rear tank, bypassed the valve on the fuel rail to the engine, two hoses, very easy. The fuel gauge still works, tells me how much fuel I have in the tank, even though I bypassed the valve. I kept the valve on there. But the thing is using one tank is you're going to have to make frequent stops at a fuel station, especially if you're towing, and that just became a real headache. So I was mowing the lawn the other day, and just hear me out on this, because you know there's going to be a lot of different comments, people saying this is a stupid thing to do, but who's going to spend, you know, $300 on a damn fuel selector so you could push the button, switch tanks back and forth? You know, think about it. You know, my lawnmower's set up on a similar system. I have two tanks that go into a T, and then one feeds the fuel pump. And what I was worried about doing this mod here is, you know, if one tank drains faster than the other, what's going to happen? Is it going to sputter? You know, is it going to suck air introduce air into the lines? But when I was done mowing the yard, I was checking my fuel, and I opened up the tanks, and I noticed one was bone dry. Bone dry. There wasn't a drip of fuel in it. And the other one had about a quarter of a tank. And they're both feeding at the same time. One's not shut off. Like I said, both of them are feeding into one at the same time. So, in theory, if my lawnmower can run off of one tank and both of them are open and it's not sucking air, my truck should do the same. The only thing I'm worried about is, the only difference is I have a return line going back into the tank, an overflow that, you know, there's a source and then it goes back into the tank, whatever's not used, and it just keeps moving the fuel around. But I'm not planning to run my tanks dry. I will keep an eye on it. This is the first time I have done this, and we'll see how it goes. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to stop the camera, and I'm going to show you my setup on my other truck that I have done previously 3 years ago, and it's still running without a problem. And my new F350, I'm going to do the two tanks using a T. Okay, so here's my present setup on my F250. These hoses here were plugged into here. This is your return. This is your source right back here. Now, they are labeled on a pump, so you can't get confused. They're labeled right here. And I kept the block, the fuel valve here, so I can tell how much fuel I have in there. Did not remove it. I just bypassed it. What I did is the hoses ran into here. I took those hoses off, purchased some extra hose, and I just completely bypassed the whole block going into here. So that's all I done, is just got extra hose and ran them from the back all the way up front here. Now, the present truck that I'm doing now, what I'm going to do is run these two lines. This is my rear fuel tank. Going to run them into the T. And then I'm going to run one hose into my fuel rail up here. And then I'm going to take my front tank, which the hoses are up there. Same thing. Source, return. And then I'm going to run one into my fuel rail. So in theory, this should work. I'm going to keep a constant eye on the fuel levels in both tanks. And when I get down to a quarter, I will fill up. Now I know one's going to drain faster than the other because, like I said, my mower does the same. Both valves are open and one tank does go dry before the other one. But that's what I'm going to do today, because this little sucker here, this little fuel valve here, like I said, it's 300 bucks. If you got the money to spend on it, great. Go ahead and do it. I'm not going to put that kind of money into a fuel valve. It's insane. If they had an aftermarket one, 80, 100 bucks, I would do it all day long. But I don't see how this part is worth 300 bucks, and that's not going to happen. So what I'm going to do now is go over there to my F350 and start doing it. I will complete the project, and I will show you the finished project when I'm all done. Okay, so here I am. This is my final product here. As you can see, I used my 2 T's and done my return and my source. I did replace all the fuel lines here. I used 8 feet, a little bit around 8 feet of 5/16 fuel line hose, and also the 2 fittings, and everything came up to around $23. But yeah, that's it. Here's my block. Everything, all the hoses are off of it. Kept my wiring in so I could tell how much fuel I have between the 2 tanks. And there it is. So I'll post another video in about a week. I'll do some test runs, see how it goes. So yeah, stay tuned for the next video, and I'll tell you if I had any problems or if everything was good. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to share, like, and subscribe.